Hello, students. Good morning. Hopefully, you are very well. Today, we are going to start a new poem, your last poem, The Poetry of Earth of your 12th syllabus. Okay. Today, our topic is our last poem, The Poetry of Earth. Very beautiful poem, outstanding poem, an excellent poem written by John Keats. John Keats, one of the greatest poets of English literature in the age of Romanticism. One of the best romantic poets in English literature is John Keats, who was born on October 31st October in 1795. Okay, and died on 23rd February 1821 in Rome. Keats was born in England, London, and he died in Rome. Anyway, Keats always found inspiration in nature. So, John Keats is a fantastic nature lover poet who gave us, so many outstanding announcements for us as a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Beauty is truth, truth beauty. These are the greatest information, poetic announcement of John Keats. Beauty is truth, truth beauty. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Here also you will get a great announcement, a marvelous announcement of English literature. The poetry of earth is never dead. Anyway, the poetry of earth is actually a competitive product. John Keats composed this poem as a product to make a competition with his friend Leigh Hunt. Leigh, Leigh, Hunt. Hunt. Leigh Hunt, one of the great literators in English literature. Okay, so John Keats composed the poem The Poetry of Earth as a product of competition with his friend Leigh Hunt. Leigh Hunt himself proposed John Keats to write an outstanding sonnet on the given theme. And Keats accepted the proposal and he created this beautiful poem, The Poetry of Earth. Leigh Hunt also wrote a poem on the same theme, but at last Leigh Hunt also acknowledged that yes, the poem of John Keats is much better than mine. Okay, Keats composed this poem, The Poetry of Earth, in the year of 1816 on 30th December. On 30th December in 1816, as a competitive product, composed this beautiful sonnet poem, The Poetry of Earth. Information, The Poetry of Earth is a beautiful Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet poem. Here we find two stanzas, octave and sestet. First stanza is carrying 8 lines, so it is called octave. Second stanza is carrying 6 lines, so it is called sestet. Here the rhyme scheme we find ABBA, ABBA, CDE, CDE. So it is a beautiful Petrarchan sonnet poem or Italian sonnet. Keats uses here music as a symbol of poetry. John Keats uses here music as a symbol of poetry. In this beautiful poem, the poet has used the music of nature as the theme of the poem. So clear? The theme of the poem is nature's music. Music of nature. Clear? The poet John Keats observes that nature's music is an unending song. It is an immortal music. It does not stop at any point of the year. Nature's music can be heard throughout the year, through all the seasons. It does not stop at any point of the year. So you follow the title of the poem, The Poetry of Art. So here poetry means music, song, the song of art, the music of nature. So the poet means the music of nature or the song of art by the poetry of art. So here poetry means music. Clear? John Keats points out that nature is ever musical. Since her origin, nature mother is always musical, ever musical. Nature's music does not stop at any point of the year. It is a continuous celebration throughout the year. Season changes, time changes, and as for the progress of the time, as for the passage of the season, the natural musician changes. But music does not stop at any point of the year. So the song of earth or the music of nature is a continuous celebration. It does not stop at any point of the year. We can hear, we can listen to the song of earth for the whole year. You think there are so many natural musicians like calling birds, so many insects and worms, rain. When the rain comes, we get beautiful pattering sound. When the wind blows, we get a beautiful smoothing sound. Okay? When the river water flows, we get a beautiful rippling sound. When the monsoon comes, we can listen to the beautiful voices of the frogs. When beautiful season comes, like autumn, dewy season, springtime, there are so many birds in the environment to fill nature with sweet voices, sweet calls. So these are the musicians of nature mother, like the rain, wind, birds, insects, worms, frogs. They all are the natural musicians. Keats finds out that a year is basically divided into two parts, summer and winter. Though throughout the year there are 6 seasons, summer, monsoon, autumn, dewy season, winter and springtime. But practically, actually, we feel in the year only 2 seasons. Only we can feel that either it is hot time or it is cold time. Either it is winter or it is summer. So basically, a year is divided into 2 seasons. Summer and winter. Summer and winter covers up. Summer and winter, these two seasons beautifully cover up the whole year. You think summertime covers the season of summer, monsoon, and early autumn also. But from late autumn, means from dew season, winter, and the early springtime, we feel a cooling condition in air, means the warmth of winter. So summer covers 3 months, and second 3 months, winter also covers the last 3 seasons. In this way, a year is divided into basically 2 parts, summer and winter. So the poet Keats here has found out that nature's music can be heard in summer season and in winter season. For any moment, it does not stop at any point of the year. Through the cyclic order of season change, through the cycle of season change, nature's music goes on as usual. It does not stop at any point of the year. For the very reason, the poet claims that, finds out that nature's music is an immortal song. It is an unending music. It does not stop at any point of the year. Very beautifully, very artfully, the poet finds out that so many sweet calling birds fill the nature, fill the environment, fill the earth very beautifully with their sweet voices. So the bird is the chief musician of nature to fill the earth with song or with music. But the poet has found out that only at 2 points of the year, the sweet calling birds do not care for singing. In summer and in winter also. In summer, when the sun gives burning heat, scorching heat, all the birds get exhausted, get heavily tired. They seek, SWK, they look for comfort in nests, NESTS. So they long for sweet rest. So the birds do not sing at all. They hide in cooling trees, in their nests. So a great musical void, VOID, emptiness, is created in nature. At the very moment, on nature's breast, there appears the small insect, that is the grasshopper. The grasshopper with its beautiful chirping voice appears into the bushes and grasses to carry on nature's music, to keep on the song of the earth. Continuously, without getting exhausted, very energetically, the grasshopper, hiding itself into bushes and meadows, sings very joyfully to fill nature with music. Very samely, in winter, on the frosty evening, when the biting cold is outside, no one is outside, no animal, no bird is outside, and all the birds take rests, take sleep into their nests, nests. They do not care for singing at all. They are totally silent. On the very moment also, a great musical void, emptiness is created on nature's breast. So who will then sing for nature mother? There is also one responsible, beautiful natural singer. That is the tiny worm, 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 the cricket, cricket. The tiny cricket becomes the sole winter musician of nature mother. As the small grasshopper appears to be the sole musician of nature mother in summertime, samely, the tiny cricket appears to be the sole musician of nature mother in winter time, to fill nature with music. So the tiny cricket becomes the responsible, dutiful natural musician or singer in winter evening, when no bird sings at all. In this way, the poet has beautifully proved that nature's music is a continuous celebration. It is an endless song. It is an unending song. It does not stop at any point of the year. For the whole year, through the cycle of seasons, nature's music can be heard. For the very reason the poet has claimed that the poetry of earth is never dead. The poetry of earth is ever alive. That means the song of nature, or the music of nature, or the song of the earth is ever alive. It is a continuous celebration. It does not stop at any point of the year. The grasshopper carries the music through the warmth of summer, while the tiny cricket warms the winter frost with its beautiful music. And in the good time of the year, in the beautiful time of the year, there are so many birds to fill nature with music. In this way, the poet has beautifully proved that nature's music is really an unending song. It does not stop at any point of the year. It is a continuous celebration. Okay. Now we are going to follow the lines of the poem written by John Keats. The very first line you follow, the poet is claiming, the poet is giving a great announcement. The poetry of earth is never dead. Very beautiful announcement, world famous announcement given by John Keats. The poetry of earth is never dead. That means the song of nature, the music of nature, or the song of earth is ever alive. It is deathless. So, the poetry has got here the touch of a beautiful personification. As if the music of nature carries a beautiful life force. So, the poet is giving here the adjective dead. Actually, dead means here finished, stopped. But the poet is telling dead. That means the song of nature as if has got a beautiful touch of personification. So the term dead is used here. Okay? So the song of nature, the music of earth can be heard throughout the year, throughout the seasons. For the very reason, the poet is telling the poetry of earth is never dead. So the song of the earth is an unending song. It is a deathless music. Because for the whole year, throughout the year, it can be heard. It does not stop at any point of the year. Season changes, musician changes, but the music does not stop. In good time of the year, there are so many birds to carry on nature's music. In tough time, in the timing of the scorching heat of summer, when the birds do not sing at all, there are so many grasshoppers to carry on nature's music. In the tough time of winter frosty evening, when the birds do not sing at all, when they enjoy rest, when they hide in their nests, when a great musical void is created in nature, there appears with the beautiful thrilling voice the tiny cricket. And the cricket energetically sings, cries to fill nature with music. So, very justly, very beautifully, the poet has announced that the poetry of earth is never dead. The song of nature is an unending song. It is a continuous celebration. It does not stop at any point of the year. Second line. When all the birds are faint with the hot sun, when all the birds are tired, faint means tired, T-I-R-E-D. When all the birds are exhausted, very tired with the hot sun, with the hot sunlight in summertime, and they hide in cooling trees, a voice will run. A voice. Whose voice is this? It is the voice of the grasshopper. Will run from hedge to hedge, from bush to bush. B-U-S-H, hedge means bush. About means around the new mown mead, around the newly cut, freshly cut meadows. As in your The Proposal play, you have got the term auction meadows. Mid means meadows, the grassland, grassy land, Lea, L-E-A. New mown means newly cut, freshly cut. That is the grasshoppers. Apostrophe S, that means that is the grasshopper's song. Grasshopper, you follow G capital. That means the grasshopper is beautifully personified here by the poet. The grasshopper is not here a very small insect. It is a human being. It is a responsible natural musician. In summertime, under the burning heat of the sun, when no bird sings at all, the responsible grasshopper appears on nature's breast with its beautiful voice or music. And very beautifully it carries on the song of the earth. So it is the sole musician, S-O-L-E, the only musician, one and only musician of nature mother in summertime. For the very reason, the grasshopper appears here to be a responsible natural singer. So it is not an insect, it is like a person. So the poet has given the term grasshopper by using the first letter G capital. That means the touch of beautiful touch of personification. I am repeating. When all the birds are faint, when all the birds are tired with the hot sun, with the burning sun in summer, and when they hide in cooling trees, in their nests, cooling trees means in the cool nests of the trees, a voice will run. Whose voice is this? It is the voice of the grasshopper. From hedge to hedge, from bush to bush, about the new mown mead, about the newly cut, freshly cut meadows or grasslands. That is the grasshopper song. He takes the lead. Who is he? He means the grasshopper. Pronoun he you follow, that means the beautiful touch of personification. The grasshopper is presented here as a responsible human being, as a responsible natural singer. It is not an insect at all. So, in place of noun, the pronoun he is used. So, beautiful touch of personification given by the poet. He takes the lead. Lead is noun here. That means leading role. Chief role. The role of the leadership. In summer luxury. In summer luxury means the beautiful timing of summer season. In your previous poem in Sonnet 18, you have already come to know that summer is the most beautiful season of the year in cold-prone countries, in European countries like England. So, when summer comes, nature enjoys a beautiful look, appearance, air. So, nature mother always enjoys a beautiful luxury in summertime. Okay, so summer luxury means the brief duration of summertime, the beautiful duration span of summertime. So when the duration of summertime comes, occasionally when the sun gives scorching heat or burning heat, when the birds hide in cooling trees, in the cool nests of the trees, when they do not sing at all, at the very moment, the small grasshopper appears on nature's breast, hiding itself into bushes, into meadows, means into grasslands. The grasshopper sings very joyfully, very beautifully. He takes the leading role. He takes the lead, that means he takes the leading role. He takes the lone, chief role, main role to carry on nature's music. In summer luxury means when nature mother enjoys the beautiful period of summertime. He has never done with his delights. Who is he? He means the grasshopper. Phrasal verb, he has never done with his delights. That means he has never finished. He has never completed his delights, his joyfulness. Delights means joyfulness, joys. Do with phrasal verb, that means finish. So he has never done, that means he has never done with, he has never finished his delights, his joyfulness, his pleasures. Pleasures. For when tired out with fun, when the grasshopper becomes very tired out of this fun-making condition, he rests, he enjoys a sweet rest. At ease means at comfort, very comfortably, very easily. Beneath means under, beneath some pleasant wind, under some very pleasant weed. Weed means the unwanted growth of the plant, you know. Weed means the unwanted growth of the plant. So, very beautifully, with a good responsibility, the grasshopper carries on nature's music. Hiding itself into bushes and grasses, it chirps very energetically. When the grasshopper becomes a little tired, after singing for a long time, after a great merrymaking amusement, when it gets tired, it rests. It takes a little rest under some grassy weed, very comfortably, and enjoying a little rest, gathering a new energy, collecting a new force, it resumes its duty. It starts its duty again. In this way, the grasshopper carries on, keeps on, continues the music of nature or the song of earth. Thus the grasshopper becomes the sole summer poet of nature mother. Thus the grasshopper becomes the sole, S-O-L-E, one and only summer poet of nature mother. The grasshopper takes the leading role, the role of a leadership, to fill nature with music, to carry on nature's music. In this way, John Keats has proved that the nature's music is really an unending song. It is a continuous celebration. Usually, the birds fill nature with music, and when the birds do not sing at all, in the timing of summer, when the sun gives burning heat, a great musical void is created. At the very moment, the small insect grasshopper appears on nature's breast with its chirping voice. Hiding itself into bushes and grasses, the grasshopper sings very joyfully. Hours together, hours after hours, the grasshopper sings very joyfully. And when the grasshopper becomes tired a little, it enjoys a little rest, hiding itself under some grassy weed, then gathering a new energy, collecting a new force, it starts to sing again. Thus the small insect grasshopper fills nature with music. So the grasshopper becomes the sole summer poet of nature mother. In this way, the poet has proved that really nature's music does not stop at any point of the year. It is a continuous celebration. It is an unending song. It is a continuous musical flow. It does not stop at any point of the year. For the very reason, the poet has announced that the poetry of earth is never dead. The music of nature, the song of the earth is ever alive. It does not stop at any point of the year. It is a continuous celebration. Okay? Today up to here, the first stanza is complete. In my next class, I will explain the second stanza of the poem. There you will find how beautifully the poet has claimed that the nature's music goes on in the time of winter season also. Next person. Today up to here. Thanks to all.